Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the City of Urbana Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission. And Leslie, could you call the roll?
Bill Brown,
Here.
Annie Adams, Leonardo Covis,
Here.
Kara Dudek, Cynthia Hoyle,
Present.
Audrey Ishii,
Here.
Susan Jones,
Here.
Jeff Marino,
Here.
Craig Schonkweiler,
Here.
Nancy Westcott,
Here.
Lily Wilcock. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. So approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any additions to the agenda?
I want
Craig?
to, under unfinished business, add answers to Nancy's questions from last time.
Okay. That was about the audible crossings.
The audible crossings and the Walgreens, or the development north of Walgreens off of Park Street.
Okay.
Under unfinished business, I would like to chat briefly about, revisit a previous topic of parking and bike infrastructure.
Parking and bike infrastructure.
We referred to it as bike lanes before, but on campus it's actually a bike path.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. So do we have a motion to approve the agenda? Okay, moved by Nancy
I second that motion.
and seconded by Sue. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. That motion carries. Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay, approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. We have minutes from April 17th. Did everybody get a chance to look those over?
I did, I sent my stuff
You-
to Leslie already.
Okay. Was that incorporated in the version you sent out? Okay. Any other corrections?
Annie just pulled up.
If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Cynthia
I second
and
that
seconded
motion.
by Sue. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. The minutes are approved. Okay, public input. I don't even see Charlie today. Looks like we don't have any public input. So unfinished business. Rectangular flashing beacons. Craig.
So several months ago, I had come to the commission with the information that the rectangular rapid flashing beacons, we had a moratorium in effect due to a patent issue. That issue now is resolved, so thankfully. So the RRFBs are back on the table. The information that I look for, we have federal information that comes out and things get posted on various listservs, but I look for the Illinois Department of Transportation to issue their interim approval. So right now there's basically a new interim approval since the patent issue was taken care of, and we now can use these rectangular rapid flashing beacons, which we had successfully used so far at Vine and Windsor over by Meadowbrook, and there's another set over by Granger at Springfield Avenue. I'll just for the public's information, let me get down here. That's what they look like. They basically have a flashing bar, an LED flashing bar that flashes at certain periods of time when the pedestrian activates it. They've had high rates of compliance by motorists. So they're back on the table. So I just wanted to announce that back to the commission since initially we talked about the moratorium.
Okay, thanks. Any questions for Craig?
Great news.
Yes.
Yep, good news.
Options, yes.
Next is dismount zone markings.
So a while back, we also talked about the need to put some dismount zone markings on a few select locations within the city. I'll show you a couple here. And basically what I wanted to do is get some feedback from all of you from some pictures that I've combed through the internet. And then from that, we'll make up the final design. As you'll see as I go through here, these will be labeled with like option A through N or whatever. Maybe take a note as we kind of walk through them to see what ones that you do like and ones that, you know, maybe you don't like at all. Think about it from the perspective of a bicyclist that's entering downtown. Is the message there for you to dismount, basically, and start walking? The locations that we would look at, there are two main locations. One would be Main Street between Broadway and Race. This would be on the corner, basically the northwest corner of Main and Broadway looking west. The marking would probably be right in this zone, just past the landing, right as you entered into what we would consider the pedestrian zone or the walkway through here. On the opposite side of the corner, or the block on Ray Street, the marking would likely be right in this zone, right in here. Of note, up on the far right on each picture, there's a bicycle with a symbol, red bar through it, that basically says no, what does it say? No bicycles on sidewalk, $100 fine. The other location is over by Durst. This was what originally brought us to look at some dismount zone markings because of the proximity of the doors to the opening to the sidewalk through here. Likely the markings would be probably up here closer to the building, so the bicyclist could have the indication to dismount. On the opposite end, it would be over in this area here. Not looking at really big markings. I want something that's not really obtrusive. Several years ago, prior to my time, it's my understanding that some markings were being installed on downtown, and immediately those were shut off due to complaints. So what we need to do is something that probably looks at least acceptable, not tacky, not a lot of verbiage. Symbols are typically better, or a combination symbols and wording. But let me just walk through here and again, just take notes. Think about what you like. We can kind of talk about it. Think about what you don't like, and then, like I said, we'll come up with a final design. So these were some of the things that I pulled off the internet. This one just says simply no bike riding on sidewalk. Same kind of format, just adding in skating. This one took a symbol approach with, you see rollerblade on the left, skateboard on the right, and in the middle, a bicycle. Prohibited. This was a little bit different. Ours will probably, whatever we do, will probably be one color. We won't do multiple colors. This one had a background to it, a white with a dismount zone there. This symbol here is something that I'm seeing more of just researching on the internet. It's a combination of obviously the bicyclist off of the bike and then holding a skateboard. This is another version of that with a yellow background. And then we have this, which just would be, probably we would invert it where it would be maybe just white on the sidewalk. This was one that's in Colorado State University. It's fairly large. I don't know if we would install this one. They actually took liberty, and I don't know if you can tell, the head of the pedestrian is a ram, because they're the rams. And then they've got, you know, roller skates hanging from the ram's head. This one here, pedestrian zone, and then it basically says, please walk your wheels. Maybe perhaps a little bit more of a positive message. Here's one that just says dismount zone with that same kind of symbol that we've seen elsewhere. And then here's one in yellow, same kind of symbol and wording. Here's one that says no bike riding on sidewalks with the symbol, which is similar to what our signs say. This one's a little bit harder to read, but it says cyclists, please dismount. Here's one where the cyclist is actually off the bike, walking the bike. Walk your bike. Please walk your bike on the sidewalk. Right, right. No feet on the side, on the cyclist too. Yeah. Here's one that says walk bikes on sidewalk. I think this is the last one, which is another version, it's just a different color, dismount zone. So is there anything that, of all these options, that you as cyclists would maybe capture your attention and get you off the bike and walk through that zone?
E and G.
E and G.
Leo, did you have?
Yeah, I would
Favorite.
just want the signage to be clear. Some of these say no bikes or have a bike with a line through
That's
them, and that's not
confusing.
exactly the rule.
Yes.
Right.
So I think in general, it'd be better to tell people what to do rather than what not to do. So dismount is better than no bikes.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I agree, I wrote down D, E, F, G as the ones that I thought were okay.
So we had E and G, and then we had D, E. What was yours?
D, E, F, G.
F, G.
Yeah. Basically, I like the ones without words.
Okay, so
So-
something like this.
Exactly,
E, F, and then G.
Yeah, with the skateboard's cool too.
Okay.
Now, I like, the one that only had the bicycle and him standing by it was just kind of vague to me, because they could have been just saying, oh, your bicycle's welcome. And I also just like the dismount zone, especially, I like that you're not going to put it, like, you're going to put it where it's a problem, not
Right.
sort of, somewhere around here somebody might, so I'm going to tend to process, oh, yeah, you know, what, near Durst, like, yeah, I should probably get off, this is crazy. And so dismount zone, like, in this place, be sure you're off the bike. That spoke to me. I don't care what color it is.
Any other thoughts?
I prefer the walk your wheels message to dismount zone.
Do you remember this one here?
I don't know, in a relay race, your zone is pretty long, like you could be dismounting for quite a while. I'm dismounted in the zone.
So you said you like the walk your wheels?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of nice.
I doesn't have to say, please walk your wheels, I say, walk your.
So it could say pedestrian zone, walk your wheels.
Doesn't it, I think you just walk your wheels.
Or
Less words are better.
or just walk your
Yeah.
wheels?
Pedestrian is never in the track.
But I like dismount zone.
Yeah, maybe that one with dismount zone, walk your wheels.
With the symbol in the way it is.
Instead of pedestrian.
So basically option,
Yeah.
all right.
And I like the circle around it. I think that draws the attention. It makes it a sign.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the two colors.
Well, we can, you know, might be pushing it a little bit on the color palette, but, yeah. If you add colors, then we gotta get people voting on colors, right? And we gotta meet, we have to, see, like, this is an official Urbana color.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I'm just
It's not
kidding,
bad.
I don't know. Somebody doesn't like the blue, and then somebody doesn't like the white, and
Yeah, can you put a little Urbana patch on the guy there?
because,
It's like your pocket.
there you go, yeah.
Yeah, I think the no bikes is confusing, because then people wonder if they're not even supposed to have their bikes on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And that, I think that gets very confusing.
So we think dismount zone, walk your wheels with a symbol, maybe a circle. What about a background to it like this? Do you think that, or just the,
I don't think we have to have it back.
I don't know.
I think the background's better. I think if you don't have the background, it looks like somebody just spray painted it on.
Does, it has a
Okay.
Like a
graffiti
stencil.
Well,
look
go back to
Mhm.
D and E.
without the
Yeah.
background.
Yeah, I think I liked E best, so that one had a larger square, I guess.
I just Googled walk your wheels, and I'm seeing some really nice signs. They're dark blue. The pedestrian is holding a bike and a skateboard, and it's in a circle, and that's white. And so I'm seeing pedestrian zone, please walk your wheels is one of the words. So I do like the idea of the T-shirt color you're wearing, and that's actually what all these are. And they look really, they actually look classy. They don't, in particular, this circle one here. I don't know if you can see it, but I can pull it up on my iPad.
So white on blue, basically.
Yeah.
oh,
It
okay.
actually looks not ugly.
So like a blue background maybe? and-
Yeah, blue background and then knockout white. And yeah, and this one says pedestrian zone, please walk your wheels. I like dismount zone, but I'm,
Too.
and then this sign here is another, this looks like a park district kind of sign.
Now, my only issue with walk your wheels is that a whole bunch of foreign students may be wondering, what
Yeah,
does that
I agree.
mean? So dismount zone
Yeah,
says what you're supposed to do.
Well, I think dismount is a much more unusual word than walk. I think every foreign student knows walk.
But walk your wheels, what does that
So
mean?
it basically could be this, but it says dismount zone instead of pedestrian zone. And then walk your wheels instead of please.
can we do a spray chalk test and just see what gets better response? I don't
Right.
know. Like you
Measuring
just
that
make
might
you just
be
make the
hard.
stencil. You make two stencils and then you spray chalk and you see
Right.
which one.
Some of this actually will be, I mean, the two locations will be our pilot study, basically. And we'll be seeing also how it's received within the, the central business district too, by the business owners, because that's where the complaints came last time.
And I was trying to imagine, what would they want to see also?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they might want to see dismount zone, walk, that might be strong enough to convey.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me think, maybe what we'll do is come up with a design based upon your comments, and then might float some public input, before we pull the trigger.
Can you just do one on paper and tape it down there and see what people think
We
of
could do
it?
that, yeah, because we have a printer that can cover, that could be that big. We could take a sample of my shirt and, they do that at paint stores, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, that way you could get input from the people in the shop owners.
Yeah.
Well, I think given their concerns, they've asked us to do something, and within the range of things that we can do, this is one of our only options.
Right,
So it behooves them to engage and support something, because the signs that we have currently are clearly not adequate.
right. I think if we can do it and it can be presented in a nice fashion, kind of classy looking, that may get some more buy-in than something that looks like, it's not that, like the first one. The first one didn't look,
Yeah, we shouldn't send no. No is not a good.
Right.
It's not a good message. No.
Right.
That's just not a good message.
Right.
You don't want welcome to our district. No.
right,
Prohibited.
or prohibited, right. Okay. Do you have any questions then? Further questions?
The only other comment I had was at Goodwin and University, one of the issues is people might not know that there's a bike path on the other side of the street.
Yeah, we got to work on some signage there.
Well, I was just thinking you could spray paint on the ground bike path with an arrow
Yeah.
or something.
Okay.
That was just one idea. Try it.
I think if they're going farther north there, like on up to 1 North, that kind of goes in the back of that apartment complex eventually, But if they're stopping right there at Campus Circle, it's just, I mean, their bike racks are right there,
Mhm.
just, 50 feet past the door where the guy ran into,
They're-
so
They're
it's
not
going to be
gonna
hard
cross
to
the
convince them
street
to
and
cross the street and come
street
back.
twice, no, for a half a block.
So-
It's not gonna happen.
I think the thing, if we
Yeah.
can just get them maybe to slow down and be off the bike. or
Yes.
that zone.
Yeah, or just use the street or
Yes.
something.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions then?
Craig, do you want us to make a motion to direct staff to, I guess, do a pilot project and use one of the options that we identified as the best options, and then work with the property or the business owners to get feedback?
I mean, we can do that. I mean, I have my information, but if Bill wants to do it, then we
I think that'd be a good idea. I think, Jeff, you almost made a motion.
can.
Maybe a little wordy.
Do you want to say so moved, and I'll rephrase it?
So moved.
Okay, Jeff has moved to forward to, or direct staff to try a trial period with a dismount zone walk your wheels emblem in select locations downtown, and
Get feedback.
get feedback from the businesses and public. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Second by Sue. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
I'll abstain. All right, thank you.
Okay, and then you, while you're there, answers to Nancy's question.
Oh, yeah. So Nancy had some questions about Vine, the pedestrian push buttons, the audible at 5 Points, basically Vine and University, also at Maine and Vine and Illinois. And we sent our signal technicians out, and they did find that there was something that had happened there where those were not functioning right. So we actually corrected them, I think, the next day. So they're functioning fine now. The other question that she had was about the development, and I can't remember the name of the development, but it's directly north of Walgreens. There's a medical facility at the southeast corner of Park in Cunningham, and about connectivity to the remainder of the site. It's my understanding there's a sidewalk that would then leave the medical facility and connect to the sidewalk on Cunningham. So if somebody was to leave that site, they could go connect to the Cunningham sidewalk, walk then down to Walgreens. There's not a direct connection between, like, within the site as far as the pedestrian access. You'd have to walk to the frontage of the road and then walk down. Does that make sense? That's what's been told to me, so,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks,
Not
Nancy,
exactly
for
ideal
bringing it
deal,
up.
but it does have connectivity, so. All right.
Okay, Cynthia, you had some discussion of parking and bike infrastructure.
Yes, we've previously discussed this issue, and perhaps just enforcement is needed. But on campus, for the MCOR project, almost every time I have been over there, there are contractor vehicles parked on the bike path. And I took pictures and sent them to Lily, but I think since it's the city of Urbana Street, it's probably our enforcement issue. And it's along the stretch where the street still is open, so it's not closed off. And so it forces the cyclists out into the roadway, and since there's already only one lane of traffic, it just adds in additional confusion and frustration. So also, that was not built to hold vehicles. My understanding is one of the adjustments due to budget was that we didn't put as thick a concrete in there as they usually do on campus, and so it's not good for the bike path for them to be parking on it. And I think because the other sidewalks on campus have been built to hold vehicles, there may be a lack of awareness, but nevertheless, we need to ask them to stop parking on the bike infrastructure. And it's not actually a bike lane, it's a side path, so I think you can enforce there.
Do you mean on Green Street?
Where is
Down
this
Green
again?
Street, yes, the MCOR project.
The
Yes.
brand-new, completed, beautiful path is full of equipment, trucks, like they just park heavy equipment on there, and it's been reported to the Transportation Committee at the University of Illinois. Stacy said she would talk to them. You know, she said that she has told them to not park there, and yet it was Bike to Work Day, and
I took pictures.
the entire thing was full of trucks and equipment, and it was frustrating for me because it's brand new and beautiful, and it won't be for long, right?
Well, let me look into it. I mean, first, it's still an active construction zone between Wright. It's not finished. It's not complete yet. So between Wright and Lincoln is an active construction zone. So there's still work remaining that has to be done. The symbols are not in, for one, so that still has to happen. As far as the loading on the bike lane, I'm not real concerned about it because the bike lane itself is thick enough to handle minor vehicle loads like that. We just don't want trucks on those. But let me look into it and see if we can get them to park down the way, and particularly between Goodwin and Wright, which I presume that's where the issue, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, they're the big heavy truck. They're not like Cisco, what I would call a Cisco truck, but they're big heavy, trucks.
Right. Yeah, some of these issues we have when a project's not yet fully completed, but we have most of it open, it appears to be done. There are just still things that are working. I mean, there's still landscape that's working, that's, they're still going off
But
and
it is a
down through
right-of-way
there.
for the pedestrians. You are saying the pedestrians, I mean, it's not shut down to pedestrians or cyclists. You're not saying, please don't use this space, so
Right,
we
but
should shut
does
it
have-
down
It
if
does
we.
have an active construction zone sign, so once you enter into a construction zone, it's a different situation than any other situation.
I did not see an active construction zone sign.
There should be construction zone signs on, as you approach, at all locations. So we'll look into it.
Okay, thanks. Anything else on that?
Yep.
All right. We have new business. Kevin. Kevin's going to do a What's in Your Square visioning exercise. I hope it's a little bit different than the one I did at noon today.
Oh, man, it'll be slightly different,
All right.
because I'll be given the brief background at the beginning instead of the mayor, but yeah, most of the exercise is going to be the same, because we're trying for consistency,
That's right. I might change my vote.
This isn't Chicago where you vote early and often. I think you're just supposed to do it once, right? Okay, so good evening, everyone. I think my voice will hold up. I think I'm coming down with something, but I think we'll be all right. So this is the What's in Your Square visioning exercise that we're doing tonight. For those of you who don't know, the What's in Your Square initiative was kicked off recently by Mayor Marlin. And the outreach process is being run by city staff, mostly community development, public works, and other staff. And really the goal is to develop a vision to re-energize sort of the 9-block area surrounding and including Lincoln Square, to better connect the area to downtown and to campus. And to the surrounding neighborhood. As you all know, and we were just talking about, there are ongoing projects that we hope this initiative will help synergize and integrate with, such as the MCOR project. And that's going to be completed in 2019. So if this visioning process is successful and we have a good vision going forward, we see that great things could happen in this area. So we appreciate all of your participation in the process, and we have a brief, relatively brief series of exercises for you all to run through. But before we get into that, just a brief background. So this is sort of an outline of the study area that we're talking about. So it's not quite the entire 9 blocks of Vine, Elm, Race, and Illinois, but it's most of that area. So it's all of the city-owned parking lots. Pretty much every parking lot in that area is owned by the city of Urbana. We're looking at Lincoln Square Mall, whose owner, Jim Webster, is supportive of this initiative. Also, we're looking at the Landmark Hotel in there. So here's an aerial view of the study area that we're talking about and that I just described, along with some of the landmarks that you might recognize, like Lincoln Square Mall and the Landmark Hotel. Okay, so for the exercise, it's broken down into 3 separate exercises. The first one is we're calling a great place. Then we'll talk about the the square cloud. I'll explain that in a little bit. And then finally, we'll do an enjoyable and fun mapping exercise where we'll split up into a couple of groups to make it more manageable. And I've asked our planner from Champaign, who's on the board here, to be one of our facilitators so that we can have facilitators at each table. I'll be the other one. So for the first exercise, did everybody get the handout that was passed out? It says what's in your square up at the top. Okay, so to start off this process, really want to do sort of a thought. A thought, I don't know if I'd call it a thought experiment, but it's really to get the creative juices flowing in your mind. So I'm going to ask everybody to close your eyes for a minute, and then really to think about a great place that you have been to, and preferably a great public place. And once you've selected a great place, then imagine that you're there and just look around or use all your senses. So what do you see there? What do you hear? What do you smell? And really think about what makes this a great place. And then in a minute, I'll ask you to open your eyes and then write some things down while they're fresh in your mind. But I'll give you just a couple of minutes to really think about that great place. Okay, I see some of us have already come back from our great place, so why don't we all open your eyes now, and on your sheets in front of you, first on just the smaller line right under great places, could you write down the name of the place? That'll help us, when we're doing research. It'll help us look into these places later. And then sort of in that paragraph below under great places, just write down your feelings and your thoughts that you have. So what makes it great? Why do you consider it a great place? And what's going on there? So I'll give you a few minutes to do that, then we'll move on. Okay, I see some folks are still writing, so I'll give you about 30 more seconds to finish whatever thoughts you're on. Okay. So since we have a relatively, I guess, large board but small group, if that makes sense, I'd like it if we could all, if everybody could, we can go around and just name your place and then maybe one key thing about that place that you think makes it great. Just because I'd like to hear from everybody, but I don't want to. Don't want it to take too long, but do want to hear some of your thoughts. So I don't know if we want to just start with Craig and move along.
Sure, you can put me on the spot.
All right.
Great place, Allerton Park. I was thinking of the sculptures.
I don't remember what mine is called. It was just a tiny little park that I was in one time in Paris, and it was like just a nice, quiet, pretty tree-lined park in the middle of a big city, and it was just a nice sort of relaxing place and in a big urban environment.
Mine would be just pretty similar to Leo's. Sort of village squares where especially I like to see there's all kinds of options for eating or drinking coffee if I get tired of nature. But I like having the nature in the park, the artists and the musicians and flowers, trees, possibly water, places to sit.
Thinking malls, and I think what I really like are trees and sees things to view. That was not to mention bakeries and coffee shops, but really I think the trees were really important to me. And and one thought was if all the stores in Lincoln Square could have windows that look outside, outward-facing windows, that might, because there are nice buildings around the mall. But
The Chicago Lakefront Trail, it has scientifically proven things that people like. People like trees, they like water, and they like places to sit. And the Chicago Lakefront Trail has bike paths, walking paths, trees, water, beach, places to picnic, places to walk, bike, run, and the big thing that people really like are watching other people.
I did change my vote. You said public spaces, and earlier I picked like a lake, a house on a lake or something. That wasn't public, so I picked a sidewalk cafe in Vermont that I went to last fall on the town square. I guess it might be similar to Monticello, if you think of the Monticello town square, except more built up, and instead of the courthouse, have a park. So if you've been there, that's kind of how it was. It was just more, it was kind of a nice downtown, older downtown surrounding it. Interesting architecture, open, fresh air, cafes, food and drink, families, trees. Don't remember any water particularly right there, but water would be good. Yep. Yep, definitely water in the glass.
Water you can touch. It's not just water, it's water you can touch. That's the third element.
So I chose the Aspen Pedestrian Mall, and the things that I like about that, first and foremost, there are no vehicles. There are benches, there's landscaping, art, shade, vendors, interactive water features, and vistas. And we have some nice things that we can feature with vistas here. We've got our library and our courthouse. And so I think those are all key, and I think a sea of parking is not the most inviting feature for a public space that we want a lot of people to gather in.
I think you'll enjoy our mapping exercise.
I said basically similar to what everybody else had said. I had Bryant Park in New York City. There's a lot of shade, a lot of seating. There's places to eat and get coffee. One difference, though, they have, I think the Business Owners Association must pay to have people that manage the space as well. So there's people walking around to pick up litter and trash and keep some minimal crime away. So that's what I said.
I thought of Greenbelt swimming pool in my hometown and the surrounding area. And because it was Greenbelt and a planned community, access was easy without vehicles, although, and also the area was clean and well-maintained, and people felt ownership of it, so they treated it well, and they had fun concerts and events, but like, as he was saying, it was taken care of. And it did have water you could touch because it was a swimming. Well, you could do active things.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody. I think that's. I think there's some common, some common themes in there. But I do think it's really nice to just be able to do that exercise and really, I don't think we step back too often to really consider, just maybe our surroundings in that deep way. So with that in mind, I think we'll start to segue into the more concrete parts of the exercises. It's still sort of in that still not totally concrete quite yet. So we're going to move on to what's called a word cloud exercise, and we're calling it that because one of the ways we're going to analyze all of the input we get, and we're definitely getting a lot of input, is you can take all the words that people write down and you can quantify them and look for ones that are most frequently given, and you can create what's called a word cloud, which a lot of you have probably seen. It's not the only way we're gonna quantify what we get, and certainly not everything can be quantified, but that's one of the outcomes that we're going to have from these exercises. So, with that not so brief introduction, I'd like to, for under Section 2 of the sheets in front of you, and under 2A, thinking back to Lincoln Square, but still thinking about what makes places great. Thinking about that entire 9-block area around Lincoln Square, so the mall, the parking areas, the hotel. I'd like to ask you to jot down some words, and those words should answer the question, what kind of atmosphere would you like a re-energized mall to have, or what kind of feelings should this place evoke in you? So if you could just take 2 minutes to write down some of those feelings, that would be excellent. Okay, if everybody could just wrap up whatever they're currently writing, then we'll go on to part B of this exercise. So we're going to ask for words again in this, but for more concrete things. So what kind of things would you like to do in this revitalized Lincoln Square area? Okay, let's wrap up in about 30 seconds. Okay, so I'm not going to ask everybody to read their list in front of the group or anything. We'll move along to the next exercise, but these first couple of exercises are really to get you thinking before we go into and to provide useful information for us, of course, but also to help out with this third part, which is going to be the mapping exercise, where, for folks who are more hands-on, you get to actually, draw on maps, which can be a lot of fun. So we're going to split up into two groups. I think maybe just every other person could be, we can split that way. And as I said, Jeff is gonna facilitate one of the tables. I can definitely walk around as well, but we're gonna split up onto the tables over there and then over there. We're gonna do the mapping exercise for about 20 minutes, and then we'll reconvene in each group. I'll ask each group to report out just a couple of minutes on on the ideas that you had during the exercise. So the rules before we all get up and move. Before I set up the maps and such. The rules are pretty simple. Just use your best imagination, be creative, and no idea is off the table. So no idea is too crazy. And if you get stuck, talk to the people in your group, look back to your previous exercises to get the creative juices flowing. So we will break and do that. But before we do, I just want to say for those folks watching at home, or for all of you here, if you haven't yet taken the survey, we also have an online survey. If you haven't had enough of what's in your square yet, we ask everybody to take the survey, surveymonkey.com/r/Urbana Square. I think you can also find it through our website. If you just type in what's in your square, Urbana, you'll be able to navigate to it. So let's break into groups for 20 minutes. I don't know if anybody can see. You might just have to describe it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, I guess they have cameras up there, so they can show it. So, all right. Cool. Yeah, why not? Here, I can hold this, Jeff, if you want to talk.
Okay. So some of the ideas that we had or goals were, preserve and enhance the market, so farmers market, but as well as other international market ideas. So this was an indoor-outdoor market that has a walking path, but also a water feature that runs through it. The water feature runs throughout the whole site and creates a space for people to congregate near and sit by. And a multi-use path that also extends throughout the site and creates connectivity to the surrounding land uses. Up here in this corner was a small, intimate amphitheater performance space that also would tie into some of the entertainment areas around downtown, and also would provide climbable art and create a space for people to go to in the evening and perform. But if there was an opportunity for larger events, concerts, then for those events we envisioned just bringing in a movable stage that could be there for just the event and then be taken away. Let's see. Oh, also in this area could be outdoor movies and other outdoor events, so multi-purpose outdoor space, assembly space. And then also for Lincoln Square Mall, we really envision keeping Lincoln Square Mall, but adding some amenities to it, adding some upper story residential, so giving it some additional uses, flexibility. We wrote here indoor climbing area, so getting Urbana builders to do an indoor climbing wall in the mall, so a mega space in the mall, and then also a plaza space on the north side of the mall, outdoor plaza space for people to sit and enjoy downtown Urbana, cafe seating. But also a component of sustainability. So we talked about native plantings throughout the site. We didn't mention pervious surfaces, but I would assume that would be part of that sustainable component of it. And creating a theme, an identity for the site. We talked about a lot of different ideas, but one of the ideas was maybe branding a Big Grove component to it, or maybe they're tying in Lincoln somehow. So,
Like a climbable hat.
yes, with the goes with the climbable art, top hat, yeah, still pipe hat. So yeah, that's what we were working on. Thank you.
And
no problem.
crosswalks.
Yes, better crosswalks.
Okay. Thank you very much. See the other group? I can hold the map again. You have another map holder too. Speak into that. Sure. Actually, if I'm holding the map. All right.
Okie doke. All right, so we were thinking big and out of the box here. So we think a Ferris wheel would be really cool for getting some type of skyline into Urbana. Bill also had an idea for like an LED lighted dome on the northwest side that again would attract attention from far and wide. We have kind of sort of hilly, meandering walking path on the east side with an ice rink that people could use in the winter time. So basically, just a place to go and hang out, essentially. We also have an idea for a park here in the southwest, and we love the touchable water idea. So a fountain or a waterfall there would be really cool. Road diet on Illinois, and connect that with a bike ped bridge over Race Street to get over that very busy street would be great. We also thought of an amphitheater and a zip line from the top of the mall down to somewhere. A little bike path here around the yoga place just to make it easier and more obvious how you go from bike, from north-south. We'd like a glass front on the mall somewhere. It doesn't necessarily need to be on that edge, but, somewhere would be good. And so kind of some recurring themes we had were elevation, something you can see from far away, lights to attract attention and make it inviting, and again, water. Mhm.
Okay, well, thanks everybody. Hope you all had an enjoyable time. It seemed like everybody did. So that concludes our What's in Your Square exercise. As I mentioned, we'll be taking all of the all the maps, all of the input that we get, and compiling it and making sense of it at the end of this whole process. So, thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Okay.
Kevin, do you want this paperwork?
I do, yeah. Just want to pass them down to Craig, and I'll pick them up on that end.
Okay, next on the agenda is announcements. I had a couple, and Kevin, while you're around, just wanted to say thanks for sending out that link to the Boston Vision Zero site. Thought that was really interesting. Hope we can talk about that some more, about what's involved in creating something like that. I know they use Esri products, and I think they worked in conjunction with the university there, so we potentially could do something like that, I think. So if anybody's watching at home, you can probably Google Boston Vision Zero and find it's a interesting Esri or it's story map kind of thing, so that if you know of problems in the road network, you can the public can mark what they see as a problem and make comments on it. So it's kind of crowdsourcing potential road problems. Another announcement: there's Ride for Ray. It's a fundraiser for ALS and muscular dystrophy. www.rideforray.com will be June 9th. There's 3 ride distance options, and there's 30 miles, 62, and 124, and the 62 and 124 will be chip timed as a grand fondo. Again, that's www.rideforray.com. Then the ITAP grants were announced 2 weeks ago at Illinois Bike Summit. That same day they announced them. We were hoping to get Champaign County was hoping to get the one on South First Street that would connect between, was it Windsor and Curtis? Yeah, on the west side. But that one wasn't funded. Forest Preserve District did get $225,000, I think, or about that, for amenities for the Kickapoo Rail Trail. Was there anything else in Champaign County? That was it.
I think that was it.
Okay. And
There's only 3, I think, in this region.
Yeah, it was pretty light in this region. I think there were maybe one in Decatur or someplace, and then there were some in other parts of Illinois. They funded more kind of streetscape things, and seemed to be geared more toward downtown oriented or commercial oriented, making more access to commercial areas, it seemed like, from the ones I kind of looked through. So I think that's the ones I had. Anybody else have announcements? Oh, Cynthia.
Yes, this Saturday is Playing It Safe, which is at the Leonard Center in Champaign, and we will be having a bike rodeo and helmet sales. So if you would like to come and bring your kid, you can do that. You can also volunteer. We need more volunteers, and you can find more information about that on cubikemonth.org. And it has been announced, and the Urbana Park District was recognized as a bicycle-friendly business at the silver level. The Phillips Center was the facility that they focused their application on, so I'm very excited for them about that. That was publicly announced last week, I think. They released the bicycle-friendly businesses. There was one other thing that I thought I would mention too, we have another event coming up with the Park District on the 23rd that you can also find on cubikemonth.org that is going to be a community event. It involves bicycles, music, and the Kickapoo Trail. We'll have a family ride, etc. So take a look at that. And so there's a lot of activity for Bike Month yet to come.
Including tomorrow, where we will have the Ride of Silence, which starts out at the I Hotel at 7. That is an international event where we will just ride quietly through town at a very slow pace. You know, it's not a bike ride, to make people aware in honor of people who have been injured or killed on their bicycles, and just to make people aware of how important it is to pay attention to where you're going.
7 o'clock at the I Hotel. Okay. Anyone else? Yep, Annie.
I have the URL. It's for the Boston maps.
Okay.
I just thought I'd try reading it. It's http boston.maps.arcgis.com. And it's longer than all that. It just keeps going. But and it might not work if you just try that. But I do know if you go to the actual page, it says Vision Zero. The Vision Zero story, safety concerns, is you then know you're on the right page. I was going to say I have been spending some quality time on jury duty this week, and I kind of had forgotten about the cost to Champaign County of people driving illegally and driving while intoxicated. And I mean, when you're in a room full of like 50 people trying to decide, I mean, I just sat there and was just adding up the cost of this one little DUI trial, and I think, I'm not exactly sure, I wasn't picked to be on it, but I was just like, wow, I think this person just hit another car. I don't even know if they hit another car. I mean, I was just like, wow, this is really expensive. And at the Illinois Bike Summit, it was wonderful to hear the head of IDOT say, essentially they're moving towards, they really want to like lower, better organize the public way, and that really kind of moving towards almost a Vision Zero for the state of Illinois. It was really exciting. And on a personal note, my car insurance went up $91, and we have no children on it. We're both older adults. We don't commute with the car. We've had no accidents for 5 years, and so we asked our insurance person what happened. And she said all of our carriers are taking rate increases on the auto insurance because the cost to repair cars has gone up and the distracted driving accidents is at a high. There really is no such thing as small fender benders anymore. So I think people are beginning to understand the high cost of driving. So I just kind of wanted to add all those things in. And then my final question is where is Urbana on the bike share?
I haven't heard anything new. Kevin, do you know when that's coming back?
Yeah, we're still working on the draft of the IGA. So we're looking to bring it to council, I think June 11th. I know we had originally looked at May 23rd or 24th, something like that. But just weren't able to, when you have the three moving parts of the two cities and the university, just to get, to get it hammered out, just weren't able to make the May meeting as we wanted to, but coming in June.
Okay. And then I still haven't done the bicycle annual report to council. That's in 2 weeks or
Yeah, it was moved because the
Tw-
agendas were packed.
28th?
29th, I think, the
29th,
day
okay.
after Memorial Day, because Memorial Day's on a Monday.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a,
Yep, correct.
so we have the public open house number 2 for the Weaver Park and East Urbana Kickapoo Rail Trail Connectivity Study coming up. That will be Wednesday, May 23rd from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Champaign County Highway Department. So please stop by to review the alternative alignments to connect Kickapoo Rail Trail to Weaver Park and East Urbana. For more information, you can go to kickapoorailtrail.com. And then I wanted to announce or reply back, there was some inquiry on the light poles for Lincoln Avenue. After much discussion internally, there's some concerns about, or a lot of concerns about volunteers being within that roadway doing work, but we have made arrangements that we do plan to have some staff members at least freshen up the bottom part of the poles with the same type of paint, just to get rid of the rust color at least. It's not going to be, at the level that we would grind things off and make it perfect, but at least we'll freshen it up and won't look so rusty. So
What colors?
it'll be white. It'll be the same. It'll only be whatever they can reach within, with some type of stick of some sort. They'll be coming in. They're going to offer it to some of the people that work at Public Works, mainly operations crews, to be coming in like early Sunday morning. That's where they felt it was safest to do work within that road.
Just to be clear, I had no intention of people painting the poles while cars were rolling up and down that. Just to be clear, I mean, the street would be shut down when the artists were painting the poles, but yeah.
Okay. Anything else? If not, let's see. Oh, future topics. We still have future topics. I did talk to, or got email from the person at the Regional Planning Commission that's doing the statistics, and she said that final report wasn't out yet. The document itself wasn't quite ready, although the reports, I guess.
Crash report.
Yeah, the crash report. So they've discussed it in various meetings, but I guess the final document isn't ready yet, so she didn't want to present anything until that was done. She said it would be a month or two. That was like a couple weeks ago, so I'll check with her again. So that would probably be June, hopefully June, but maybe July. So whenever she does that, we could probably put Vision Zero on the agenda again to discuss that.
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead and have a small discussion regarding some other.
Okay.
For one thing, I can pass out the minutes, which were pretty indicative from the Kuatz meeting, where she presented the report and at that time said it was all done except for the ADA.
Yeah, I guess the document itself, she wants to have that done, and maybe, it'd be good to have somebody there that could answer questions if we had questions about what's in there and what's not.
Yeah, I just like to review the minutes so that people can prepare the questions for when she does come.
Okay.
That gives the people a chance, it's always good to see, get some kind of advance notice, to get prepared. Because there are a lot of questions that people will have a lot of questions after this.
And then, Annie?
St. Joseph's just in March lowered all their speed limits to 25 miles per hour. So I don't know if it's possible to get anyone from St. Joe's to tell us how that's worked or not worked or what's going on there. But it seems like it's a community connected to the Kickapoo Rail Trail right near us that has figured out a way to do that. So I just think if there's any way we can figure that out or find out from them, get any feedback about how that worked, that would be fantastic.
I could follow up on that. I went to high school with the mayor, so so I could ask her about it. Then also we have other RPCs follow-ups, right, with the signage. Have we wayfinding?
Yeah, that, they've been working a little bit on the pedestrian plan. They've been doing this connectivity study that I mentioned earlier. The wayfinding's another one of those items that we'll hopefully start getting ramped back up on.
Okay, but nothing coming up immediately?
No.
Okay. Anything else coming up in the next couple of months? Okay. Okay, so any ideas for agenda items, be sure to think of those and send them in for next month. Is there anything else? If not,
I was going to say, we never talked about, I had a bunch of agenda items at one time, and then they all kind of got steamrolled, but we never talked about the effect of shutting down Main Street on retail and on community development. So I don't know if that's something anyone's still interested in talking about, the effect of shutting down a street to vehicular traffic and opening it up to pedestrian, bike, and other
You mean for an
traffic.
event?
Yeah, such as they did for Urbana First Fridays.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so if that's of any interest, I'm happy to present on that.
okay.
Well, I won't be here for the June meeting. I am going to get to attend the International Cycling Conference Velo City in June. And it's in the enjoyable location of Rio de Janeiro, so I will be happy to give you all some information about what I learned there.
Sounds good.
We feel your pain.
Okay, seeing no further business, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you all very much.